Thank you, Neera. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. And thank you to Neera, the entire CAP team, for putting together this Ideas Conference. And thank you to the staff here at the Four Seasons for looking after us so well. And I'm glad we could bring a little bit of LA weather here for at least a couple days in Washington. Enjoy it while it lasts, I hear. But thanks to all of you, mostly, for coming here and being a part of this most urgent and important conversation. For the last few months, commentators have been calling this a big moment for the Democratic Party. And they're right. But I believe this is an even bigger moment for the American people, a bigger moment for our country. For practically my entire lifetime, and maybe for yours too, we've heard politicians at events like this talking about how we are on the cusp of a technological revolution, one that will forever alter the way that we work, the way that we learn, the way that we communicate. Flying cars, solar energy, robots that will make us breakfast. But that revolution isn't coming anymore. That revolution is here. 25 years ago, our country imported half of its oil that we needed to meet our energy needs. Today, foreign oil accounts for just about a quarter of our energy usage. And 25 years from now, we may not be using fossil fuels at all. 25 years ago, AIDS was the #1 killer of men who were 25 to 44. Today, that diagnosis is no longer a death sentence. And 25 years from now, we may be able to say the same thing about lung cancer or Alzheimer's. It's amazing. A generation ago, the only place that you'd see something like this literally was in a sci-fi movie. And 25 years from now, the only place you'll find one will be in a museum. So we are living in this exciting future that we've all heard about in so many TED Talks over the years. And yet, for a lot of Americans, this doesn't feel like an exciting moment. It doesn't feel like a moment of incredible progress. It feels like a time of great anxiety and great uncertainty. Over the next 20 years, automation and artificial intelligence are going to wipe out millions of jobs. And if you think one of those jobs might belong to you, you're not impressed by how innovative the technology is. You're wondering how you're going to get by, let alone get ahead in this new economy. And you're wondering whether any of those leaders who keep talking about this brave new future actually think that there's a place in that future for you. See, I hear these anxieties every day. For 16 years, as a local elected official, I've been knocking on my neighbors' doors, holding open office hours where people from all walks of life can come talk to me about anything they want. Listening is at the heart of what I do. And it may surprise some people here in Washington to hear that the concerns that I hear about in Los Angeles are similar to ones that we hear throughout this country, in places like Lansing or Louisville. 4 million people live in my city, and yes, some of them are movie stars, even a few of them Kardashians, but most Angelenos, they're small business owners, factory workers. They're firefighters and nurses, bookkeepers and bus drivers. And we're not much different from folks in coal country. In the San Fernando Valley, where I grew up, we had car factories that shut down. Angelenos know what it's like to watch an assembly line grind to a halt and a company pack up and leave town. Time and time again, we've had to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and face an uncertain future. So what's happening in my city is in many ways a microcosm of what's happening around the country. For folks at the top, there's never been a more exciting time to live in Los Angeles. We have a diverse and thriving creative class. They're innovating and collaborating and having a great time doing it. And why not? You can go on your smartphone and find any kind of food that you want, have it delivered to your home. You don't want to find parking, you can go ahead and get ride share. You can have somebody come and pick up your dry cleaning with the tap of a finger. We also have a ballooning service class, the people who are cooking the food and doing the dry cleaning. And they're just barely hanging on, scrapping to stay afloat and hoping one day to get ahead. Meanwhile, our middle class is getting squeezed out. The paycheck, for years, staying the same. Their healthcare bills going up. The cost of college for their kids skyrocketing. A secure retirement, a hope, and a dream. These folks aren't just anxious and insecure. They're angry and impatient. They hear us talk, but regardless of whether or not they agree with what they're saying, they don't see anybody taking real action to improve their lives. And so they don't trust their leaders, any of them. And this isn't just about honesty or ethics. People don't trust that we have it in us to actually solve our problems, their problems. This lack of trust isn't just a problem for progressives who believe that some challenges are so big that only government is capable of addressing them. It's not just a problem for Democrats who watch Donald Trump capitalize on that frustration to win the White House. This is a problem for our country, because this distrust robs us of our ability to take the kind of big action we need to embrace the future instead of fear it, the kind of action we can only take together. So, how do we win back this trust? Well, I always tell the young people who come work for me that in order to make an impact in public service, you have to show people that you can pass 3 tests. Tests of the heart, the head, and of guts. First, your heart. Do people feel that you can connect with them around the challenges they feel? Do you get it? Do you feel it? Second, your head. If you can connect with them, do people believe you have smart ideas to address those challenges? And then third, your guts. And this is the most important of the 3. Even if you show you can care, even if you've thought of good solutions, do people believe that you'll do whatever it takes to deliver the results that you promise, even if it cuts against your own personal or political interests? Now, you need all 3 to lead. And mayors who are directly accountable, who hear from our constituents not just at town halls, but at the grocery store and at the diner, we tend to understand that. It all goes back to listening. If you really listen, and mayors have to, Americans actually agree on a lot. They want a decent job with reliable benefits, including quality health care. They want affordable housing in a safe neighborhood with good schools for their kids. They're worried about how they're going to get these things in an economy that is rapidly changing and leaving so many people behind. They want their leaders to worry less about winning arguments and more about delivering results. I guess that's why mayors tend to be a little bit less doctrinaire. I'll tell you a secret. When mayors are by themselves, Democratic mayors tend to admit that regulations oftentimes do more harm than good. And Republican mayors often know that they can raise taxes to invest in critical things without the whole world imploding. Mayors are in the business of getting things done. And while Washington is stuck, or even worse, we see Washington moving backwards, cities are moving forward. In Los Angeles, for example, we raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. People already have more money in their pockets. They're spending it on Main Street, and it's helping our local businesses. And we're not just raising the floor, we're raising the ceiling. We don't want just $15 an hour jobs. We want $40 and $50 an hour jobs. So we're making unprecedented investments in infrastructure that aren't just about improving traffic or public safety. They're about creating hundreds of thousands of good-paying, middle-class union jobs. People without college degrees who half a century ago were working in South LA on building bombers on the assembly line, today are building rail cars on the Crenshaw LAX line, improving traffic and creating jobs where they live. And that's just the start. We passed the nation's largest housing initiative. We have the highest graduation rate we've had in decades. And how? Not only by increasing investments in after-school tutoring and wraparound services for families. We literally show up at the door of dropouts and walk them back to school as they re-enroll. And this fall, we're building on that, becoming the largest city in America to make community college free for every public school graduate. We're even taking the lead on healthcare, which you may think of as a national issue, but mayors know is an intensely local issue. In LA, Obamacare insured more than 1.5 million Angelenos. And healthcare has meant new jobs, 50,000 of them, $6 billion added to our GDP, which is why Democratic and Republican mayors alike are sounding the alarm about Trump care, and why I am ready to fight like hell to make sure it never becomes the law of the land. You see, mayors understand that it's not enough to feel people's pain or to have a laundry list of ideas to help. We need to convince people that they can trust us to fight for them and to deliver for them. And when we do, real progress is possible. Let me give you an example. Anyone who's ever been to Los Angeles knows that we have the worst traffic in America. And everyone who lives in Los Angeles knows that it's more than a pain in the ass. Traffic robs us of billions of dollars to our economy and millions of hours that we could be spending with our family. So we set out to fix it. An America that can still do things. We proposed the largest local infrastructure initiative in this nation's history, ×2, that would produce 465,000 good-paying jobs that will stay here at home. But to get the initiative, which was called Measure M, passed, we had to go to the voters of Los Angeles County and get 2/3 of them to vote yes, to raise their own taxes. So for 3 years, I crisscrossed 4,700 square miles in an area comprising 10 million people. We built coalitions of labor and business, Democrats and Republicans. And on Election Day, Measure M passed with 71% of the vote. It didn't pass because voters in Los Angeles love big government or because we had the best targeting or the ads. It passed because we had listened and because people trusted us to deliver. And Los Angeles wasn't alone. In November, even on a tough night for our party, cities across this nation passed $230 billion worth of infrastructure investments. Now, how long have we heard $1 trillion in infrastructure investments being talked about here in Washington? In one night, America's cities delivered nearly a quarter of that. For all of us, this is an important moment because the intransigence here, the emphasis on making sure that you win the argument instead of move the progress forward has reduced Washington. Here in Washington, while people are going small, cities are going big. Which brings me back to the challenge that we face. I know you're pissed off about the political moment that we're in. That's why we're here, right? And make no mistake, our values are under attack, and we do need to fight back. In Los Angeles, we've set up a $10 million justice fund to make sure that no immigrant faces the threat of deportation without legal representation. Because you know what? I'm the grandson of a dreamer. And if the White House withdraws from the Paris Climate Accord, you know what? We're going to adopt it in Los Angeles, and I've got a dozen cities more ready to do it the next day. We're not doing this just because it's the right thing to do for our Earth. It's the right thing to do for our economy, where we've built 20,000 new green jobs. Yes, we've got to fight, and we've got to win. But this White House isn't going to succeed in dragging us back into the past, because I know we have the Constitution, and we have the American people on our side. We're going to win those fights. But every day we spend playing defense is a day we're not making progress. If we define ourselves solely by our opposition to this administration, we will sell ourselves short. And more importantly, we will sell the American people short. My friends, our country is at a transformational moment that has brought with it challenges and opportunities unlike anything we've ever faced. The future is here, and the American people are waiting for someone to step up, to lead us with the confidence and courage we need. So don't cede the power you have before you exercise it. Don't settle for being pissed off. Don't fall into the trap of being paralyzed with fear and with anger. Don't fight pessimism with more pessimism. And most importantly, don't lose faith in America. We have done amazing things in our history, but you know what? We are doing amazing things right now in cities across this country. Take it from me, as a mayor, I see it every single day. So let's refuse to settle for letting the future happen. And let's resolve to make a future in which every American can find their place, achieve their dream, and reach their God-given potential. And let's prove that we have the heart, the head, and the guts to actually deliver. And if we can do that, we can do a lot more than just win an election. We can lead this great country into what I truly believe is a bright and brilliant future. Let's go do it. Thank you.